My name's Dr. Colin Robertson and I'm an exercise and nutrition scientist. I've spent the past 28 years working in high performance sport. I've worked across 4 Olympic cycles, supporting athletes who competed at Beijing, London, Rio, Tokyo. I've worked in international and national rugby, premiership football, and I'm an environmental physiologist. So I've supported people who've climbed Everest, rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, taken on marathons across the Sahara Desert, trekked to the North Pole. And I've also got a clinical exercise physiology background. So I've supported the rehabilitation and the treatment of people who are undergoing care for cancer, cardiovascular disease, pulmonary conditions, and anything that would typically take a person into a hospital environment. But today, I'm the Chief Product Officer for Zinzino. And that's a journey that really started about 2 years ago, April 2020, when at that time I was working as a researcher as a part of a health strategy, a national health strategy, which actually informed the city's change in diabetes global health strategy also. And what I was looking at, what I was tasked to address, was the notion of the omega-3 deficiency and what we could do to start to address the fact that even as the World Health Organization have published, approximately 6 billion people on the planet are considered to be deficient in what is an essential nutrient, an essential fat, that omega-3. And I'd diligently gone through the research and looked at what could be the solution to this problem. The obvious solution is that every single person eats more fatty fish, but there is a problem with that. It has to be line-caught, fresh, fatty fish in order for it to be nutrient dense enough to hit the kind of values we need to make sure a person is sufficiently primed with those essential marine omega-3s. The second obvious thing would be to say, well, let's look at the fish oil industry. It's well established, it's global, and that would make sense. But sadly, there was a Cochrane study, a meta-analysis, high-impact peer-reviewed research article 2018, that concluded that the fish oil industry, fish oil itself, simply didn't bring about enough of a change. It was failing in its task. And so as I was preparing this document and I was starting to scratch my head and wonder, well, what is the solution to this? A phone call came through. And it's really rare when I'm working on something, in my study, working away on a task, that I'll answer a call. But this was an old friend of mine, someone who at that time was very high up in an American clothing brand called Under Armour. And we went back a long way, and he gave me a call. And so I answered it. I was looking for a distraction. And as fate would have it, as I answered the call, he said to me, "Colin, what do you know about omega-3? And have you ever heard of a company called Zinzino?" And I said, well, funnily enough, right now I currently know quite a lot about omega-3, but no, I've never heard of Zinzino. And I said to him, but if they're selling fish oil, let me tell you, it won't work. And he said, well, no, I've been told this is different. Now, my friend had some health issues in the past. And so he'd been recommended by a medical practitioner to take this product and wanted me to verify it because we were friends and he trusted me with regards to my nutritional background to really rubber stamp it and say, yeah, this is going to be something that could help. Now, I don't look at every kind of food that friends of mine ask me to chase up because time is short and I've got a job and a family. But in this instance, because it was omega-3 related, it kind of piqued my curiosity. And I took some time to go and have a look. And this was a moment for me that was a eureka moment because I went onto the webpage, I brought up the product, and the missing piece fell into place. And the simplicity of it was genius, to such an extent that I thought, why did I not think of this? What they had done was reattached what nature intended. But I'll come back to that in a moment. The key part was, for the first time, I'd moved from a position of thinking, what is the solution for this? We've got nearly 8 billion people living on the planet. We know we can't provide this through simple food choices. One, there's a task in getting people to change behaviors. Secondly, there is a whole ecological and ethical issue around that notion of pulling that amount of fish out the sea. And to do that where everyone is single fresh and it's wild and line caught, not going to happen. And we knew that there was an industry that just didn't hit the mark. and then I recognized what the solution was. Further to this, there was a test. And this actually really made me quite cynical, and I started to be quite skeptical, because it's the oldest trick in the book, is that, it's the snake oil industry. What happens is I measure you, you're obviously wrong, something's not working. I give you a solution, and then I measure again and everything's great. And so I was quite concerned that there was this notion of a test. But then I looked at who actually delivered the test. And for someone like me who works in the research arena, global research arena, and at this time I was a lab director myself of laboratories in Greater Manchester, I know the network. And when I saw the name was Vitas of Norway, who are arguably one of the most esteemed, recognized independent labs in the world, who are partnered with the University of Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford, Harvard, who've worked with the NHS in the UK, I thought, this is interesting, because that's a big claim to make. And so in my capacity as someone who was a lab director, I gave them a call. And I said, I've just happened upon a website of a company called Zinzino, who claim that you independently analyze and report on their dry blood spot samples with regards to the fatty acid profile. To which they said, yes, they're one of our best customers. And that was the moment that I realized that my friend's phone call was quite fortuitous, that it steered me towards something that was very much a workable solution, and something that I wanted to know more about. A lot happened in between. But within those 2 years, I went from really being focused and having dedicated my life to that notion of research and how we can build strategy, to now proudly being the chief product officer of a company that provides a workable solution.